All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome aboard. Day three. This is accelerated retirement, but I'm gonna introduce a incredibly special guest, a dear friend, in a couple minutes to uh, show you an incredible opportunity. A lot of you folks know who I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but I just want to take a little bit of time because today is an incredible day. Um, and I'll brief you on that in a second. But let me knock out some quick admin items since we did kind of do an accidentally free week of Full Throttle. There on the schedule, there's a brief tomorrow. Ain't no brief tomorrow. This was not supposed to be a free week, so I'm not working tomorrow doing this stuff, man. I have foundation work to do. I got a lot of stuff going on. I'll still trade and everything like that. But if you are a free person, free, you got to join Solo, Amazon, or Full Throttle. I mean, that's over to you. And instead of doing a live trade brief tomorrow, you should be sitting there doing your OWS, your options weapons school training. So I'm going to, after we get done this brief, I'm done for the week, at least with my live briefs. I'll still trade, obviously, in the Max Afterburner and the Hunters, folks. I just shot a bear call spread on Amazon. Amazon's still in that gap. Next stop on Amazon by Friday, in my opinion, is probably 200. So I just shot a 205, 207 and a half bear call spread. You should have gotten an alert on that. So let me knock out our quick admin items. Yeah, man. How about those cats? Well, we're going to talk hockey in a couple minutes here, man. Cats are a juggernaut right now. Okay. Incredibly grateful I'm incredibly grateful every morning that I wake up above ground with my beautiful bride, my family, a roof over my head, running water, the internet, just full of gratitude today, but more so today. Why? 4 years ago this morning, I woke up on a mattress on the floor of a home in Mexico and looked out the window, surrounded by four other incredible human beings, man, good dudes. Two Navy SEAL veterans, a JTAC veteran, and an NFL veteran who was in a pretty bad place. I think we were all in a pretty bad place. It was Christmas morning infinity. The way the Pacific looked, the way everything looked, man, I was the first guy downstairs, and I was reborn. I mean, we were all texting each other this morning. Happy 4-year rebirth anniversary. Many of you who know me know I don't use these terms lightly. I was born again. I was born again 4 years ago this morning. Wasn't fun. It wasn't recreational. I've done some challenging things in my life. Landing on the boat in the middle of the Pacific, low on fuel at night in bad weather was a walk in the park compared to this. So, but here we are 4 years later, man, and I am just absolutely, I'm blown away. I can't believe what has happened in the past 4 years. I mean, I went from the border to last week, the Beltway, and meeting with the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Just absolutely incredible progress in what we're going to talk about today. Real quick, I'm going to knock this out, then I'm going to introduce our guest, very special guest, because I know a lot of folks are new. I don't even know who the hell you are, man. Folks, my name's Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Whiz. I was named Matthew by my parents, but you can call me Whiz. I'm Matthew to my mom and my bride if I'm in trouble. Everybody else, I'm Whiz. How did I earn that call sign? I flew the F-18 Hornet for the United States Navy for 15 years, graduated from Top Gun. It's the Navy Fighter Weapons School. It's called Top Gun, where I was a bad guy. I was an adversary pilot. So if you watch Maverick or Top Gun, the bad guys, I was a bad guy. To teach the good guys, you had to be a really, really, really good guy to be a bad guy, to be selected to go be a enemy instructor. I deployed on Lincoln, Kitty Hawk for Operation Southern Watch. I also deployed for Operations Noble Eagle and Enduring Freedom. What's this have to do with investing? Everything, man. I started applying everything I was learning, flying a fighter pilot to my trading, and it worked extremely well. Brief airline career. The morning of September 11th was my first and essentially last day at work at American Airlines. So where did I go instead? Wall Street. I had taught myself how to invest and trade stocks and options when I was flying fighters. Then I went to Wall Street. and it sucked. But anyway, why are we going to be talking about potentially profiting and helping people? Why? Well, it's born out of some pretty bad stuff. I was born in South Jersey, South Philadelphia, typical Irish Catholic kid, six kids. I was number two from the bottom. Uh, we made the Pope look Jewish. It didn't get any more Irish Catholic than the Buckleys of New Jersey and Philadelphia. Altar boy, St. Augustine prep. Just about everybody in my family went to Villanova. I was an Augustinian. The Pope went to Villanova and is an Augustinian. So, I was that kid. And then God, I thought at the time, killed my sister when she was at Villanova. My brother, my sister Marilyn, and my sister Monica were all at Villanova. They were all at a fraternity party, and my brother John and my sister Marilyn said, "Hey, Monica, we're going back to campus. Do you want to ride?" And she said, "No, I'm gonna catch a ride with these folks." Changed the arc of my life, destroyed my belief in God. What type of God kills my sister and then destroys my parents were done. My dad, he died years later of a broken heart. I remember playing with, sitting on the couch with my father, watching my two boys, Matthew and Jack, playing, and he knew what I was talking about because I looked at him and said, "How'd you do it?" And he looked at me and said, "Matthew, when they lowered her into the ground, I was going to jump in there with her, but I had you." So he carried unbelievable grief. My mom, obviously, got done battling stage 4 lung cancer. I mean, carried a lot of trauma, childhood trauma. Where did I carry that? Where do a lot of people go with childhood trauma? To the United States military. So when I was flying fighters for the United States Navy, I lost 16 brothers in aviation mishaps. I lost 8 getting ready to deploy to Iraq. It's called workups. You go up to Fallon, you drop bombs and you make big rocks into little rocks. Then you go out off the coast of San Diego on a carrier and you practice carrier stuff. Wait, you forgot how to drop bombs. Back up to the so in all that stuff, 5 aircraft. So people last week were like, "Whiz, we're losing a lot of Hornets off the Truman." I'm like, "Oh, really?" We lost 5. We lost 2 Tomcats, 2 Hornets, and a Prowler in peacetime, preparing to go over. 8 aircrew gone. During my time, I've lost 4 F-18 brothers to suicide, including my best friend, Captain Eric Swenson, Swede. He was a groomsman in my wedding. That's my wedding day, man. What really incredible, great day. Like I told you, I went to Wall Street. I went from a fighter squadron where you trust the men and women in that organization with your life, or they're not part of that organization for long. And I went to Wall Street, man. And I'm not joking when I tell you there were people who would push their own mother in front of a bus for $1. I'm not joking. I got disconnected from my mission, from who I was, from my bride, from my family, drugs, alcohol, circling the drain, baby. I was spiraling out of control. A lot of dark nights of the soul, man. Wondered what was wrong with me too. Flying airplanes, man, pulling G's. A lot of you have seen that video of me pulling 7, 8, 9 G's. It ain't healthy. Fighting the jet on the edge of consciousness, man, passing out almost on a daily basis, and then slamming aboard a ship. The equivalent force, ladies and gentlemen, is sitting in your driveway in a car, being pulled up to the 2nd story by a crane and dropped. Imagine what that would feel like to you. Hundreds and hundreds of times. And then imagine sitting literally a foot behind one of the most powerful transmitters on the planet. The highest rates among veterans of cancer is with aviators, with all the energy, man, that we are. So I was in a bad place, man. And then in 2020, after Swede checked out and my other buddy, Buster Crab, I said, "Susie, we made a shit pot of money in the COVID crash." And I looked at her and I said, "Who cares? It'll be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven." I said, let's do something, Suze. Let's start a foundation. Let's try and do something to stop veteran suicide. How do you keep a veteran from killing themselves? Help them pay the rent, buy a suit, help them write a resume. I mean, I was like, let's try anything. And that's when a buddy said, hey man, there's some Navy SEALs and special forces guys that go down to Mexico and they do psychedelic assisted therapy. And there's a cool group going in a couple of weeks. Would you want to go? And I said, man, go to Mexico and do drugs with Navy SEALs. Fucking sign me up. I had no clue what I was getting into, man. As many of you know, I went down there with Marcus Luttrell. If you've seen the movie Lone Survivor or read the book, but good movie with Mark Wahlberg. Me, Marcus, JT, who helped start Black Rifle Coffee, John Jones, another Navy SEAL. He's a Top Gun Options member. JJ, my brother, and then Robert Gallery from Iowa, All-American in Iowa, College Football Hall of Fame, played for the Raiders. And man, this guy was on his way out. And you can go listen to Max Afterburner episode 7 to get an idea, but it saved and changed my life. I was a drinker. I don't think you can be a good drinker. I was a bad drinker up to a year after the medicine. I couldn't smell alcohol. I couldn't look at it. Last week, you had the opportunity to invest in Demerex with Dr. Deborah Mash, developing her medicine. They have to call it a drug. I refuse to. It's medicine. Noribogaine is a medicine. It can cure alcohol use disorder. It did for me. I feel like a failure. You see those guys? None of them drink. I have a glass of wine every once in a while with my steak or my pasta with Susie. I don't feel like a failure. I'm joking. I feel like a success because old Whiz was what? Suze, let's get another bottle. No. Let's stop, Matthew. Nah, 3 bottles. And I was not a good drunk. And I admit that. This healed me. So I got home, started the No Fallen Heroes Foundation, and 4 years later, last week, what the hell's going on, man? I'm at the VA. At the 100-point day of the administration, I promised it was a calendar reminder in my phone. I said, if I don't see any action, I'm going to take a flamethrower to him. And I did. And guess what happened? The Secretary of the Veterans Affairs answered my tweet, shot me a direct message and said, Whiz, I love this. I need your help. I think you're doing some good work. I said, hey, man, I'll be up in D.C. next week. He's like, I think I'm traveling, but come up and meet with the heavies. Boom. Met with the heavies. Halfway through the meeting, I thought his chief of staff or whatever the title was rude. She was texting. I'm like, look at me. I'm talking. I think the first half an hour was to make sure I wasn't some sort of idiot or psycho. Because after she put her phone down and kept listening to me, the door opens up. There's the secretary. Whiz, I heard you were in the building. I got to shake your hand. I want to shake your hand. Gave him a coin, briefed him on the mission. He looked me dead in the eyes. He said, Whiz, if this is going to happen, it's going to be now. They didn't do it. I would have thought Democrats would have done this over the past 4 years. We're going to do it. The time is now. And I said, holy shit, Mr. Secretary, I'm in, baby. So this is the way, ladies and gentlemen, started the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. We give healing grants to veterans, first responders, and their family members they serve too. Gold Star moms, dads, spouses. My God, some of them made the ultimate sacrifice as well. Now, venture capitalists, VCs, Wall Street is waking up. Many of you got to invest a year or 2 years ago. The folks who got in at the beginning, you're welcome. Healing Realty Trust, HRT, infrastructure, cash flow positive, making money, existing tenants. They're ready to potentially shift when, not if, the battlefield changes. But a lot of you are kicking yourself. I think, well, the next guy can tell you how many. I think 20, 25 TGO members got into HRT and they are printing money. Last week, many of you, I think they hit the 34 limit. I talked to John the other day. He's like, I think we're closed. If you didn't invest in Demerex, I think you might have missed your opportunity unless you're talking to John and you're wiring money and all that sort of stuff. Now, I'm going to say the same thing I said with HRT, Demerex, and with my next guest. Folks, this is the internet 1999, man. There's a pets.com, a Netscape, an Amazon, and a Google. You invest in the right Two, you're filthy rich. You invest in the wrong two, you can go broke. There is risk in all of this. HRT is pretty stable. There's still risk in HRT. Demorex, incredible risk, incredible potential upside. I saw August was a low point, folks. The FDA AdCom denied. We shouldn't have led with MDMA. You guys know how I feel. We should have led with the plants anyway. But who knows? This is I'll use the word drug. Who knows how this is going to work? There are powerful forces aligned against us, folks. There's no money in healing. Big pharma don't want no cure for AUD. They'd rather sell them. They want customers. So I hate talking like this, but I will. What's most likely going to happen with something like a Demorex is what? Yeah, hi, I'm from Janssen. Here's a massive check, Dr. Mash. Bye-bye. I'll love that. I have equity. I'm on the advisory board, and then I'll hate it. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, healing is technically free. So right now, folks, you're going to get an opportunity. This is a Reese's peanut butter cup. What do I mean by that? HRT infrastructure, making money, but ain't no psychedelics or healing, psychedelic healing going on there. We can't. It's technically not legal in a lot of places. So they're good, but that's an infrastructure play. Then we have a medicine, Demorex play. Right now, the Reese's peanut butter cup is both. So the guy I'm going to introduce right now, man, I've known for a long time, but physically known, 4 years now. But what do you mean you've known for a long time? This guy is a 2-time Stanley Cup champ for the wrong team. Born and raised in South Jersey and South Philly, Flyers fan, sadly. This guy, Daniel Carcillo, call sign Car Bomb. If you want to look at it, you've heard my story of healing and my journey. My God, man, Google Daniel Carcillo fights. He's the guy with no teeth and the blood on his jersey. To see him today with his beautiful bride and his family, you want to talk about a healing journey? He'll get into that. But I love Daniel Carcillo, and then he went to the Blackhawks, and then he sucked. But then he won 2 Stanley Cups, which was awesome because I loved him in Philly, and then over in Chicago where Matthew and Jack and our beautiful daughter Keely was born. They were all about Car Bomb, ladies and gentlemen, and they loved the guy. So Danny and I have been best friends for at least 4 years. 4 years ago, I called our brother Cody and I said, "Hey, come on the podcast." And he's like, "Hey, can I bring Danny Carcillo?" I'm like, "Wait, hold on." He's like, "Yeah, a hockey player." I'm like, "Oh my God." So I met Danny when we sat down and ripped the podcast, and we've been joined at the hip ever since. I'm on the advisory board for Healing Realty Trust. He's the COO. He's a 3-star general over in the REIT, and I'm also part of the parent. I have equity in the parent company of what you're going to hear about right now, NuGrowth Connections. We've done, he can correct me, 2-3 retreats out here in Oregon with this stuff. This man is saving and changing lives, and you're ready for this. You're going to be able to make money with this. It's all. I'm stealing his thunder. Let me shut up. It's already cash flow positive. Let me go find Danny and bring him up. But this is going to be, I'm looking forward to this. I'll give you the slide deck here after he gets done speaking, because I don't want you to not pay attention to him. So let me add Danny Carcillo as a presenter. And this is my first time promote the panelist. Let me do that. And everybody do me a favor, folks. I want you to let me know if you can't, because last week when I did this for Dr. Mash, she ended up like, I was looking at my calendar and it recorded my calendar. So please let me know if we're good to go. All right, my brother Daniel, man, I have talked way too long, my brother. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm going to get out of your way.
Sounds good, buddy. Always good
I
hearing
love you,
the
man.
story.
Thanks for all this stuff.
Love you too, buddy. Yeah, thanks for everything you do, man. It's a pleasure to work with you and to call you a friend. Can everybody hear me? Is that a thumbs up, Wizzy?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear,
Yeah, you
bro.
got me?
And
Cool.
we're still seeing my screen.
You are?
Make sure you take control, and
Yeah.
because I gooned this up last week with
Let
Dr.
me. Okay. Yeah. Can you stop share? Can you click that?
Let me stop.
I don't
There
know
we
if we
go.
got it.
I'm gonna stop sharing here.
Yeah, someone else is sharing.
Oh, there. Sorry about that.
Mine.
All right.
Beauty. And then just let me know if everybody can.
Yep. Got our story and everything like that. So
Okay.
you are cleared hot, my brother. I'll get out of your way. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Wizzy. So good to be with everybody, and appreciate everyone's time and consideration here. We started NuGrowth Connections, also known as Experience Onward. That's the name of our clinics. Almost 2 years ago. So as Wiz mentioned, my story is one of using psilocybin, specifically the active ingredient in magic mushrooms, to recover my brain health and quality of life. I played 10 years in the NHL. I fought 164 times over those 10 years, and I received 7 diagnosed concussions, which eventually forced me into early retirement at the age of 30. So the things that I was dealing with were slurred speech, headache, head pressure, insomnia, impulse control issues, appetite, weight loss, short-term, long-term memory loss, on top of anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation, which eventually led to an early onset dementia diagnosis. I had all the means in the world. So from 2015 to 2019, I was able to, use the money that I earned to go to the best neurologists and clinics. And it wasn't until I came across a PubMed paper that was done, a study that was done in 2014 by Robin Carhart-Harris, where I saw the connections of brain hemispheres, and it's in the longer form deck. And I just had this thought that psilocybin might be able to work for me. So in the summer of 2019, I took some brain scans that you see here to the left. Red, bad. The brain's not communicating correctly. It's a QEEG, which we actually use in our athlete veteran study to basically diagnose how the brain's communicating. Concussions on one area of the brain, and we have 6 of them. And I thought, because of the stigma, I need to take some brain scans, take some blood work, try this treatment out as a last-ditch effort to save my life. And hopefully it works, and I'll be able to, bust through the stigma by showing people actual hard data. 6 months after 2 treatments, I had gone back to the same neurologist that was telling me that I had to, get used to living a new normal. And he couldn't find any abnormalities in my brain scans. My blood work was completely clear. My free testosterone rose about 1,200%, which we've tested 34 people now at the center. And on average, theirs is rising, mostly in obviously males, about 800%. So that gets rid of the brain fog, the brain fatigue, which is really exciting to be able to track. But after I got healthy, I started to talk about it. HBO Sports, Brian Gumbel, Real Sports did a segment on us. Have been featured in all of the publications below, and will continue to push this as it's my life's work. Created a drug development company, sold that to a NASDAQ listed company. Raised about 21 million to take that company public, sold off that shell. I've in my past life ran 3 psychiatrist-led clinics with over 1,600 patients in it. We expanded that to a network of 5 and sold that to private equity. And then I ended up founding Experience Onward. I worked on this about a year in the background, and really just, it's an amazing thing to be able to know why you're here on this earth. And I truly believe I'm in the right place, doing what I'm meant to be doing, which is, introducing people to psilocybin in a very responsible and legal manner. So we are one of 9 facilities in the United States that's legally allowed to administer psilocybin. So we are definitely at the forefront, and we are the largest center in the United States at 4,600 square feet. And there's obviously a high interest level in psychedelic therapy now. We'll touch a little bit more on the 61% registered voters. Over 108 million people said that they support the regulated access to psychedelics. There's over 130 FDA-approved clinical trials right now researching psilocybin for over 50 indications. An indication is depression, anxiety, PTSD. 61% of this population, again, 108 million people support it. As Wiz mentioned earlier, the Secretary of the VA and the FDA's commissioner both said researching psychedelics is now a top priority. That came out yesterday with the FDA commissioner, Dr. Marty Makary, on Jillian Michaels' podcast, said the data is so compelling it would be unethical to delay access for those who need it. Speaking of data and why we believe in 5 years we can get this, to over 2 to 3,000 people and have our clinics generating over 40 million in revenue, is because 8 million annual users of psilocybin are actively partaking in this, both in decriminalized states, which there are over 32 of them, as well as in a legal setting. In a 2022 YouGov report, 72 million lifetime users, so about 28% of Americans admitted to doing a psychedelic, which is a Schedule 1, so they're taking a big risk in reporting that. And the projected growth of into 2024 was about 8 to 10 million psilocybin users. So in Oregon, over 9,000 people have accessed the legal model. There's been over 2 billion in venture funding into the psychedelic space, and the psilocybin market was just reported to hit 3.3 billion by 2031. Our clients range from performance-oriented people to healing-oriented people. So with my following on social media, we serve a lot of current and former athletes, NFL, UFC, boxers, hockey players, a lot of executives as well that played sports in college, feel a little off, very high operating C-level people that just want to get some healing and an edge. Hybrid remote workers, obviously, veterans, concussion survivors are a big focus of ours, and we support veterans through No Fallen Heroes. Curious beginners and some community members as well are coming from Oregon. So we've served in this program over 9,000 people. The program saw significant expansion up from just 600 participants in the first year, and the increasing demand and the market potential now has venture looking at these types of investments. The difference between us and the other 8 centers is that I have a big focus on institutionalizing psilocybin therapy. So what does that mean? I believe in an institutionalized center in collecting data. So using QEEG, using blood work, genetic testing, to really bust through the stigma that this is placebo, and to show other concussion survivors, people suffering from any type of psychiatric or neurological disorders, that we can bridge the gap between using this medicine that's been used for over 10,000 years and merging that with the technology and the data collection that I think is necessary to influence both federal legislation as well as other states, opening other states. So to that measure, we've put together a clinical research board. We've recently added 2 people from McLean's, Blaise Aguirre, Roger Patat, both MDs, and that gives us access to Harvard Psychedelic Center as well, where we're in discussions to possibly set up a data sharing agreement with our diagnostics. As I mentioned, brain imaging tools, the biometric testing, it's the backbone to legitimizing this. As we're using this natural medicine, we do not use any synthetics that are going through the FDA. So this is 100% natural. So as well as the operational know-how, we're going to be expanding, and I'll touch on this in a little bit, into Colorado, where we're going to be veteran owned and operated by a former MIT Sloan and Army Ranger. So this is a snapshot of what our center looks like. We have over 4,600 square feet. So a really amazing, at the bottom right, group space. This doesn't look like your obviously traditional clinic where the traditional visit is 25 to 26 minutes and they churn and burn and they give you a prescription and they send you out the door and you go to Walgreens and you're looking for the answer inside of a pill bottle with crippling side effects. This is, and as you can see, an environment that is set up for individuals to be able to prepare properly, to delve inside their own body, their own consciousness, to meet their trauma head on with the right mindset in the right environment with trained professionals that are able to support them through an experience that'll change their life, that has been proven to regrow new neurological brain cells and to live a happy and fulfilling life and integrate this on the back end, which is one of the most important things. Some of our advocacy partners, obviously, No Fallen Heroes, Athletes Journey Home, was started by a former UFC champion, Ian McCall, which we've done a couple retreats and started this kind of athlete veteran concussion study, which we're raising funds for, and you'll hear about here shortly. We are the only clinic that is actually partnered with Enthia. They are a TPA, so a specialty insurance network where individuals can go to their employers and get funded for this treatment. They've actually sent us a handful of individuals already. Curated music. We have a partnership with the Alan Watts organization. He's been a really amazing impact in my life and a very well-known philosopher. And then part of our lead generation includes Healing Maps, which has over 400,000 people organically going to their site, looking for retreats and looking for this type of treatment and connections to legal facilities. So in the media, you guys saw obviously where I've been before, and this is where we're going this year. So as soon as we have funding secured, the next 10 cohorts are going to include 2 pretty big NFL names, as well as 2 boxers that are very, very well known. And there will be a New York Times article being written both about the athletes as well as Whiz and the veteran participation at our next July retreat. HBO Real Sports followed on a documentary of me that will be introduced into Sundance Film Festival. We actually covered myself, a former NHL player, and Michelle Akers as we journeyed with psilocybin back in November of 2024. And that'll be an impactful look into kind of the legal, regulated way of accessing this medicine in the United States. And the Players Tribune, working with them to get another piece together at my center. And the last piece that we did had over 2 million views. And that's owned by Derek Jeter. We've done a few pieces together that have been really, really popular. So by the numbers, our license was approved December 15th. We did a soft launch in December and January, and then officially open for the last 3 months. Our average operating margin is 55%. And the upside potential with that, as you'll see in the next slide, is as we get these group sessions together and more retreats in the summer, it increases to over 70%, which is, again, why venture is starting to look at this industry specifically. So our client growth has been 100% month over month. It's myself, basically no paid ads, just organic traffic of cutting up and using the AI tools that are available to us now, all of the different podcasts that I do, all of the different media, and it's been working really, really well. To where I'm actually inputting people into Homecoming, which is a back-end EMR system that's HIPAA compliant that we use, at a rate of about 25 per week. So qualifying just over 200 to 250 people a month. On top of that, we have an active lead list of 4,200 people from Healing Maps. And it's, again, why I'm in front of you right now, as I wish to raise $200,000 to hire 2 individuals to help me go through this list on top of the organic signups that we're getting. Revenue to date is $175,000. The unrealized revenue, and what I mean by that are the retreats that people have put deposits up for. June, July, and August is $110,000, and our startup cost was only $140,000. And to date, we've raised $213,000, mainly from people in this TGO group. So some unit economics. This is at the low end. We're thinking of increasing our pricing, but for right now, we're charging $2,500 per 6 weeks of a program. So what does that mean? We give people 2 weeks of diet and breathwork protocol, mindfulness practices. We don't see them before that, and then we give them 3 months of support of diet, mindfulness, as well as integration afterwards. So it prepares people and then helps them integrate over a 6-week period. Per facilitator at the high end, some people are getting paid $750, but I was conservative with this model. per person. That is our cost. Our cost is also the front desk person, which usually ranges from $150 to $200. So for each individual, the gross revenue is 13, or the gross profit, excuse me, is 1,300 at the lowest end, and our gross margin per individual session is 52%. As you can see, when you move down the list, that margin increases quite dramatically as one facilitator and a front desk individual who's also a trained facilitator but showing up as a worker permit are can serve 4 people dependent on the milligram amount. So it's a little bit of a game to strategically keep that milligram amount down so that you only need 2 facilitators to each person. So the sales opportunity that I mentioned, which is why I'm in front of you today, we have 4,200 qualified leads on top of the other leads that are coming in organically, and I need support. So I've done all of this essentially pretty much on my own, and with the use of AI tools, et cetera. And it's gotten to a point where I'm not quite overwhelmed, but with support, with building out a team, with having 2 individuals 100% dedicated beside me, we could start addressing a lot more of this list. So each lead represents about a $1,500 to $2,500 treatment package. We do offer, some discounts to hit our social equity plan, but the estimated revenue potential is north of $14 million there. So I want to build and train a dedicated 2-person team. They'll help me with inbound sales, CRM manager, which we use HubSpot, lead specialist follow-up, high touch outreach model. So we use phone, mostly text, email, as well as nurture campaigns and newsletters to keep everybody engaged. So the funding ask today is it's a total of $500,000, but $200,000 will cover 6 months salary and commission structures, the CRM and sales automation tools that we're already using and have been using for the past 3 months, as well as the sales performance and incentive program package. The projected ROI, converting just 10% of these leads, is anywhere in between $600,000 and 1.4 in revenue, and the break even is expected to be under 60 days of launch. And experience onward, we've always been looking at trying to optimize SEO. So it's a very fine game. As you'll see on my socials, I rarely say psychedelics. In fact, I don't. It's out of my vocabulary, simply because Meta and these social platforms will block you. So we really need to stick to and be very strategic about how we market, how we do SEO. So if anyone's familiar with Rhythmia, they are a center in Costa Rica. They actually just got sold to a private equity for $35 million. This is kind of the base case for which we're looking to implement this kind of industry-specific marketing. So the team, because they were sold, was up for grabs, and they ended up reaching out to me. They saw what I was doing, and they want to. This is part of that $200,000 investment. They want to help expand this psilocybin market potential. So I'll let you guys read this after the call. But they took their conversion rates from 6% to 25%, maintaining 24% industry-leading conversions. Rhythmia is serving ayahuasca in the middle of the jungle in Costa Rica. So they took their specific website traffic up from 4,500 to 120,000 users. So, I'm very adamant that because we're doing this in Oregon at home, you're not having to go overseas. I think the potential is massive. And with this athlete study, we can execute on campaigns with some really famous people who are willing to share their stories. I'm going to shift gears into just a little bit of the efficacy of why we're doing the first ever inhuman observational longitudinal study using psilocybin to treat concussions. So this is a study that is validating why different veterans and different athletes feel so good after using psilocybin. So this was published in February, towards the end of February, so just over a month ago. So the study investigated psilocybin's effect on mild traumatic brain injuries. The first step to creating a drug, you have to put your drug into what's called an FDA validated model. So if you're researching depression, for example, you'll do a forced swim test with a specific animal. In this case, it was rats. And so what they do here in this FDA model is, it might sound inhumane, but this is the first step to drug development, is they hit female rats, a population of female rats, with an anvil over the course of 3 days. They gave them an intentional brain injury. They tested their inflammatory biomarkers in their brain. They obviously had traumatic brain injury, so they confirmed that. And then the third thing, which is very, very interesting, is that there was the presence of tau proteins. They then gave these rats 3 milligrams of psilocybin, which would be the equivalent of what we're giving people, 25 milligrams at our clinic. And then they retested. So it reduced all neuroinflammation. It improved blood flow in the rats' brains. It restored normal brain function. So there was no sign of brain injury anymore. And this is the most amazing thing, and how I feel, is that it eliminated the presence of these tau proteins. Now, tau proteins, I know there's some people that I've spoken to on this call where we're all getting older, we're all at risk, and our parents are. My grandmother died of Alzheimer's. You have 3 concussions, you're 80% more susceptible to that. So getting out in front of it, introducing this medicine that is eliminating the presence of these tau proteins, which confirms the way I feel and how alive I feel, and it has implications for obviously TBI treatment as well as military personnel. And now they're going to do further studies for neurodegenerative disease. So, obviously, Whiz and I have a very close relationship. I've been very adamant about, data collection over my lifetime and how I advocate. And so I am willing to give away equity in the company to be able to put 2 10-person cohorts through what we've already done. So we've already done this with 8 individuals. That data will be coming out at the end of June. But what we do at these retreats is we take EEG neuroimaging, epigenetic testing, gut microbiome, so stool samples, metabolic testing, cognitive testing, psychometric testing, biological samples, as well as these brain scans and confirming how the brain is communicating, similar to how you saw in the first slide. So the product or the project data and management is $30,000. We do want to. This is basically a full program of preparation. There's money that's going obviously to Experience Onward for the medicine and facilitators. Travel and accommodations is taken care of, and then the research as well. And we'll be able to use this, as I mentioned, in the media, with the New York Times covering us, in the HBO documentary that's being followed up with, as well as the Players Tribune wants to cover this one in July. We also obviously have the $200,000 for the sales build out. So the total raise that we're asking for is $500,000, and it's on the same valuation, the post money valuation, as the first round, because the TGO members have supported me. So we just did it at the exact same valuation. Minimum investment's $25,000, equity stake in the operating company. And I will say we didn't have any time, or I didn't want to overwhelm this presentation, but I have been talking to somebody for the last 10 weeks that is going to make a very sizable investment into the company to allow our expansion to Colorado. We've already identified a property that's within 45 minutes of the airport. The difference between Colorado and Oregon is you can make money off of non-psilocybin services. So it'll very much be a wellness program with other clinically validated tools like high heat sauna, cold plunge, all the things that Andrew Huberman, Joe Rogan are talking about. But I want to, tell everybody about this kind of target market opportunity in the wellness kind of anti-aging space. So expanding on slide 3, there's over 347 million people in the United States, adults aged 25 to 65, and 108 million people support the therapeutic use of psychedelics. we're going after high earners in both Colorado, and we're going to start in Oregon as well. So 3.2 million people earn over 200,000 plus a year, and 20 to 30% of those have $1 million in investable assets. And so their spend on luxury travel is 13,000, just north of 13,000 a year. So pro psychedelic and travel ready individuals, we're in this market already. There's 14% willing to spend 10 grand a year on wellness and leisure. So our target audience is 454,000 high income traveling willing Americans. So our conversion strategy in both Oregon and Colorado, we only need 453 clients a year to operate at full capacity. So we just need to convert 0.01% of this addressable market, and we will have a $4+ million book of revenue business by the end of this year. And we'll touch just a little bit on the exit strategy. I haven't, put my head here too much, but obviously organically what we're building, we must look into the future. And really what I'm trying to build is just a national brand of psychedelic wellness. Obviously diagnostics and that data is going to be extremely valuable. There's a couple venture funds that we're speaking to who have invested in pharmaceutical companies, and they've already expressed interest in this data. And then obviously hospitality. Colorado, you'll be able to have long stays where the property we're looking at is an old wedding venue. It has 14 boutique rooms set up. So for overnight stays, it's got a big event space as well as a commercial kitchen. So everything will be on property. So the 5-year milestone, we would like to see 3 urban healing centers. The difference between the urban healing centers in Colorado are the price points. We'd like to keep a couple places open that can offer this healing between 15 and 3,000. And then obviously the 2 Colorado destinations on top of some branded micro cafes will be within, above the $5,000 range. This is scalable. It's a profitable model. People are willing to pay cash, similar to addiction and rehab. And the data that we're collecting, the real world outcomes with the QEG, gut microbiome, genetics, and psychometrics has a lot of value. Strong IP and brand equity. There's over 30 other states and programs that are opening up. So sitting here with the first kind of successful business, being able to license out our protocols, et cetera, is exciting. And then, obviously with the athletes and my following and the brand recognition, and being the only person that I feel like is still left over, and we've been a little bit quiet, and that's been strategic, but we're going to have a coming out party here in the middle of the year. So exit pathways would be a strategic acquisition by either a behavioral health organization or maybe even a couple of these companies that are going to get approved for insurance, like Compass Pathway, a Field Trip, maybe an Equinox. Merger or consolidation with other psychedelic treatment or behavioral treatment companies, maybe a diagnostic company. And if federal legislation does start to move, we could always look at a public offering and an IPO. So the projected 5-year revenue is 40 million plus, and our target exit is over 100 million. So our scientific advisory board, Dr. Kaufman, Martin Polanco, I'll send this to you guys later. And then 2 MDs that led McLean's psychiatrist division at Harvard are now on the board and helping to advise with our data collection. So I know I've spoken over my time, so sorry about that, Whiz. But thank you everybody for listening. And if you have any questions, I'd love to address them. And you can also reach me at the email below.
Hey, bro, there's a couple of questions in there if you want to look in the chat box.
Sure. Okay, where do I want to start? Pharma wants customers for life. That is true, Rick, for sure. So Rick, receipt of bleach. Ronish, is there anything unique to how you do things that can be copyrighted, trademarked? In other words, is what you do easily replicatable by other copycat providers? So I think, Ronish, what we do uniquely is we focus primarily on these neurological disorders where everybody is everything to everyone. The state requires every single center in this legal regulated format to do things the same way, as far as purchasing the psilocybin, hiring the trained facilitators, making sure that you're looking at the tested psilocybin from the testing facility. But we do have the ability to personalize mushrooms. Different mushroom strains do different things. For example, everyone focuses on psilocybin and psilocin content, whereas norbeo and baeocystin are two other tryptamines in the mushroom that are potent anxiolytics. So that means if, for example, with the veteran retreats that we did, I chose two strains that were high in norbeo and baeocystin to make sure that there was a more of an anxiolytic effect, anti-anxiety effect for these individuals that I knew had PTSD. So from that standpoint, we could, move into a vertically integrated company as far as having our own mushrooms. But what I've done is with one of the growers, I just gave her the strains that I know that I like. We have an agreement in place that they can only be sold to Experience Onward. So from that standpoint, that plus other SOPs and manuals, they can be, personalized. One of the things that we're working on for Colorado is, once you get individuals into this type of healing, it's much, they're a customer for life in the sense of you want to help them live, right? So I think it's important to, white label something that already exists in the form of an app to be able to communicate with them daily. And so from that standpoint, those types of SOPs and manuals with specific indications, and you're treating these specific neurological, say, concussion disorders, that can definitely be copyrighted or trademarked for sure. So exit strategy, liquidity, so future dilution. So McKenny, this will be the last opportunity to invest at $25,000 at this valuation. The valuation is going to increase likely to around 8.5 to 9 million once we do get the approval and the license for Colorado. And it's the same talk track and format that I did in Oregon. So you don't put out any money into the property. You make the closing of the property. You tie it up with an LOI. We have a large investor that's able to personally guarantee and show his bank account that's coming in. And once the property's tied up, this is an off-market deal. Then you apply for the license. You have a lease in place. So that allows you to apply for the license. Once you get the license, then you obviously have in that time frame gone through the DD on the property, and then you close. So the next raise is going to be at a much higher valuation, and then we will likely raise a debt round so that nobody dilutes on the equity side to close the property. We'll have a land co opco structure. So, and then we'll just continue to operate and raise at higher valuations to protect against dilution. So PR to everyone, the rapid increase in testosterone. So thank you for asking, touch on this quickly. We, for whatever reason, mushrooms stimulate the pituitary gland. So our pituitary glands all sit in a very rigid part of our skull. That's why concussion survivors with repetitive head trauma get affected. And so I can't tell you specifically why the mushrooms target that, but we've seen this increase in free testosterone as well as cortisol levels going down quite dramatically. So this has implications. Mushrooms don't discriminate. They're an intelligent medicine between men and women. So we actually have a 10-person cohort with 2 doctors that are coming down, and we're going to start addressing menopause, which unfortunately every woman gets. And there are some women and groups out there that have already experienced and started tracking data on menopause. So, and it's been positive. But yeah, that's specifically why the mushrooms seem to target the pituitary gland. Slides above. And here I'll ask, I'm going to put my, please email me at Daniel at experienceonward.com if you'd like the deck or you have any other questions, or if you'd like to see the sub docs as well. Based on my research, how many people do multiple sessions? So yeah, there's about 25% of individuals that have come in that I've already done 2 sessions. And concussion survivors, it's not a kind of one fit all protocol, but there are individuals that definitely need to come in more than once, and it's we're very transparent about this isn't a one and done, and it's also why we've put the price point where it is. So, what is the equity received for the? So Jim, if you want to email me at the email, I can give you the equity breakdown of what you'd receive for the 25,000 investment. Have you ran across any cases of TBI-induced seizures? I believe there could be an entire market. Yeah, Mark. So we have obviously we have an MD on staff, and there's been a lot of individuals that have had seizures. Myself, I had seizures coming off of pharmaceuticals before I found this treatment, but I still qualified. We get people to do EKGs and have our medical director work with their doctor to just make sure that it's safe for us to administer this. And I will say, like, the state's done a really good job, the OHA specifically, of making sure that we're adhering to the protocol. And the protocol was made by Johns Hopkins, like people like Matthew Johnson, whereas it's the same classification that you would have to go through to get qualified for an FDA-approved trial. But yeah, that could be a big market. So again, this is why I think the veteran and athlete study is so important. We're collecting this data in real world data in people that have suffered concussion, that are all higher operating, that respond really well to treatment. And once we have this data, we'll be able to kind of sit back, and there'll be some core morbidities or comorbidities of these diagnoses. Like, for example, veterans who suffer from PTSD are also suffering from anxiety and depression. And then we'll be able to target those indications with our marketing once we see the research that comes out in June. So Charles, a person has Alzheimer's, how can you help them? I mean, you take a medicine that grows new neuronal pathways, which is mushrooms. And we've treated people with, phase 3 Alzheimer's, and they've seen an increase in mood. Here, I will put in the chat. This was from UCSF. I'd love for you to take a look at it. It came out the other day, where it was the first FDA-approved trial where they used psilocybin for Parkinson's. And it increased mood, increased cognition. It was a potent anti-inflammatory, and then it also increased motor skills in the whole population. So a pretty cool study. And these studies are going to continue to come out, and we continue to highlight them and promote them. And so my email is Daniel at experienceonward.com. And then I'll put my phone number here too, so you can, if anybody needs to text or call, feel free. So that looks like, I think I've addressed everybody. Any age restriction? Yes, Jim, 21. You have to be 21 and older to participate in the program. So cool. Autism, Texas. There's been a few. I think Johns Hopkins is trying to recruit for an autism study with psilocybin. But autism treatment, yeah. Essentially, I'm not a doctor, obviously, but you can correlate the anti-inflammatory effects in the body and in the brain and you pair that with the neuroplasticity that's going on, this kind of reopening of these critical learning periods. It's regrowing the brain around damage. It's downregulating the nervous system. So, all of those things, I don't want to say they help everything, but it helps pretty much every individual that's suffering feel better. So that could have implications for autism as well. I just don't know if there's been specific studies done yet. So cool. Yes, big demand for sure. Whiz, thanks again, man. Love you, buddy.
Awesome. All right, folks, let's give my brother Daniel a virtual golf clap, or just appreciate it, man. I'm honored to fly wing on this with you. Just humbled and honored. Looking forward to our study. Got the athletes, got the veterans. Going to
Yeah,
have the
buddy.
data. I think that's going to be the floodgate, man. You and I have our incredibly anecdotal, but our incredible personal stories of hearing. We need the nerds and the lab coats and the beakers to give us the data, and then really the institutional money is going to flood in.
Yeah, I think so you get we've got a couple Parkinson's patients coming in June, a man and a woman, they're in their like 60s, but you start collecting this data and then you pair it with like the article that I just put into the chat with real world, inhuman. I think that's really where, a lot of media is very interested in it, right? And then when people see that, it's validated, and then more people will reach out, and you just keep collecting, you treating, helping, collecting, and then talking about it. So yeah, buddy, appreciate you,
I
man.
love it, man. Folks, all the questions that now you're hitting Daniel with, do me a favor, just email him, because I want to talk about. I just fired a S&P 500 sniper shot, but or Daniel, if you want to hang, you can kind of type in the background if you
Sure.
want to.
Yeah, I'll type
But
in the background.
folks, don't miss this opportunity. I'll take back control from good old Daniel here. Do not miss this opportunity, man. Like he and I were talking before we jumped on the brief. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to be. This is their last chance at this 25 level." You guys saw this with the REIT. We got a lot of folks in there at 25, and then boom, door shut, 250, accredited investor. Now they're, Piper Sandler, and Joe's meeting at BlackRock type of thing up in New York City. So don't reach out to Daniel and I a year from now and go, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. So if you got any questions, he's clearly accessible. You can give the guy a call or shoot him an email as well. These medicines saved his life, changed his life. They saved and changed my life too, folks. So, like I started the brief with, hey man, we 4 years anniversary of life saving and change. Let me go back to a question Daniel answered though about like repeat customers. Talking to my brothers this morning on the text thread, we do well since I go on retreats, more than they do. They do an annual tune-up, man. Marcus and Robert, they go down and knock the rust off, man. I'm an aviator. If I see ice on the wings, I know now to go get de-iced. Old Whiz, I'd let that ice build up and I'd stall, and it wouldn't be pleasant for me. So I personally do an annual knock the rust off if needed, maybe twice a year. So that's a great question, but some people are one and done. I mean, some people do ketamine and go, I'm healed and never look back. So it just depends on the person. But that's a really good question about, hey, you see any repeat customers? And let me, before we trade for a little bit here and talk about some more accelerated retirement stuff, I call this the world's greatest Ponzi scheme. What do I mean by that? You heal. You put the mask on yourself first. I love going on a retreat, man, because I feel like, like Susie and I on Christmas morning. I love going on a retreat. Like Daniel and I were in Oregon a couple months ago and seeing the guys, a little standoffish, or I saw you on a Zoom call and shake hands and stuff. By the time they leave Sunday, man, they're hugging, they're crying, and they are friends for life. So this is it's a pretty cool thing to be into. So I booted Ishmael out of the webinar recently, like, hey, we're going to talk about investing. Hey, man, if you can't see that you could potentially make money and heal people, that's the win-win. Folks, I made more money than most people will see in their lifetime in Wall Street. You know what it did for me? It pushed me further away from God and source and family and truth. No, thank you. So if you just want to go make money, go somewhere else. And I booted that guy out of the room. I have zero time for people like that.
Hey, Wizzy. Love you, buddy.
All right. See you, Daniel. Everybody say goodbye to Daniel. Give him a call. All his
See you guys.
contact info's in there. Thank you. Good night. Try the veal.
Okay,
Love,
buddy.
Love my brother Daniel, and
Yeah.
folks, he's on the advisory board of our foundation. You might get to meet Daniel in person at one of our events, or hey, man, even go do your own journey out in Oregon. Okay, hey, while Daniel was talking, I mean, I know all this stuff, so I was already listening to him. I've placed a couple trades, uh, and one of them is up $718 right now. $800, 42% profit in a trade I put in the chat box a little while ago. You're welcome. So where's Ishmael? Oh, I booted him. So accelerated retirement. I strongly recommend you. I have equity in Experience Onward, the parent company. I have equity in Demorex. I have equity in HRT, man. Why? And another reason I booted Ishmael, you're just promoting something you can make money on. Fucking duh. What are you, an idiot? Yeah. And it's all disclosed too. I just said that. I don't get paid. I can't get paid. I do not get paid from Daniel or Demorex or HRT. I'm not a registered investment advisor, broker dealer. I cannot get compensated. So you guys invest in Daniel. I'm part of a parent company. So anyway, I can't stand negative people like that. But what an incredible 4-year anniversary, man. 2 days ago, after Marcus and I got home, his brother Morgan, Navy SEAL, combat trauma, they're twins, right? Looked at Marcus after a couple weeks and said, "My God, what the hell happened to you?" And he's like, "I went and did this." Morgan went and did this. Now he's a congressman. A big, nice article in the Wall Street Journal about this. And obviously, as Daniel hit, the FDA commissioner just said 2 days ago, psychedelic medicine is a top priority. Did you hear any of this for the last 4 years? Nope. And I got it wrong. What do you mean you got it wrong, Whiz? I thought Democrats were there. Mala beads, drug rugs, peace, no war, no big pharma. Wrong. The parties have switched. Unbelievable. PR, great question. MindMed, MNM. Have you guys seen a tie? Did you buy a tie like I told you to? Is it a tie still up? Nah, it's down a little bit. Look at the rip in a tie since Dr. Mash and I presented last week with Demorex. It's up like, what's that, 50% or something like that. But no, PR, great question. MindMed, MNMD, right? GAD, generalized anxiety disorder. Let me see if I can give you, let me go find that. Downloads, MNMD. Yeah, I think I can load this. Let me load this in the chat box, folks. So for all the new folks, welcome. If you don't want to invest in that, now sit up straight, because we can cover some publicly traded psychedelic stocks. But look at the exit. I have a friend at Arrhythmia right now. Literally, like Daniel said, in the middle of the jungle. This is downtown Portland. You should see this clinic, man. It's out of central casting. He has a very large investor who's joining us, who's already looking at the guys. I'll let Daniel brief it when it happens, but super big investor, and already looking at a incredible property in Colorado. You want to go to the middle of the jungle to do Aya or whatever, knock yourself out. I don't mind staying here in the US. Let me give you this. Let me see if I can share this with you all real quick in the chat box. MM120, ladies and gentlemen, generalized anxiety disorder. That's right, Mitch. I remember you went down there. That's exactly right. Listen to Mitch. Don't listen to me. Listen to Mitch. He's like, I probably would have preferred to stay in the United States. I mean, it's great, but where is it? MMMD. I'll give you this brief. Don't listen to me. This is Oppenheimer, not the guy with the bomb. Where is it? Whatever. Shit. There it is, right there. All right, loading in the chat box, ladies and gentlemen, is this report on MindMed. Right here, folks. $5. They have a $25 price target. I mean, this is a little old, but go read this about MM120, a single dose of LSD treating generalized anxiety disorder, curing people, folks. Like I talked about earlier, man, these guys don't Big Pharma does not want healed human beings. They want customers for the rest of their life. Okay. So let's rip through this real quick. I know we're going to go a little long because of that presentation, but hopefully you guys got something from it. Oh, let's close this trade. Look at that pop in the S&P 500. That's a $1,000, 1,100 profit in 30 minutes. I'll put in an order for 50 cents. Preview, fire. 60%, 1,100 bucks in 30 minutes. You're welcome. Just paid for an annual membership in Solo Amazon. That's how we do it here, right there. Look at that, folks. At everyone. I'm going to close this trade. Taking, what was it, 60% or $1,100 profit in 30 minutes. During a brief, man. So this goes to the hunters. They have an app on their phone. They're going to get an alert right now. And then obviously my lifetime, folks, this is the most elite people. Oh, wait, sorry about that. Here we go, trade alerts. Oh, hunters, sorry. There we go. Got to put this in the hunters over here. Okay. Derek, you need to download the app, right? Watch the welcome aboard video. Watch a welcome aboard video. It's called Go Collab, GOKOLLAB. So Derek, you have to go on your phone under notifications or whatever. You got to go click. It's 11:11. We are on the right path. You got to go click allow notifications from Go Collab. Yes. So I just got my alerts. So I get my ding. So you have to enable all that. The app doesn't like immediately take over your phone to show those alerts to you. Now, if you open your app on your phone, you'll see them. You'll see these trades posted in there. But if you want the alerts, you gotta set it up on your phone. Yeah, I don't know what that spike in the market was. So let me also cover that. I'm going to look to leg into an iron condor with Amazon, a weekly iron condor with Amazon. Definitely keep an eye on your short calls, right? That we talked about on Monday. I already sent this out. I looked at a bear call spread, the 205, 207.5 bear call spread up here. And I'm trying to get filled on a bull put spread to leg into an iron condor. So that's posted in the Solo Amazon thread over here. Trade alerts right there. So here you go. I sent out this alert this morning. I think before we jumped on the brief of the bear call spread. And then I said, hey, I'm going to leg into a weekly iron condor with the bull put spread. Okay. Everybody who's not in Solo Amazon, it is time for you to join. Let me give you the link to join Solo Amazon. Like I said, I'm not doing another free brief tomorrow. Giving way too much stuff away for free. Solo Amazon, 97 bucks a month. Or $970 for a year. You get 2 months included if you do the annual membership. So there is the link to join Solo Amazon. That's every Monday at 10 a.m., folks. Every Monday at 10 a.m. If you want the Tuesday, Wednesday briefs and the options, weapon school training, and all that type of stuff, it's called Full Throttle. Okay. But let's stick with AR. I'm going to go a little bit longer here, folks. I want to show you some of the trades in this space. If you didn't get into Healing Realty Trust, let's go talk about Sabra, SBRA. SBRA. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. This is a healthcare REIT, just like the REIT I'm an investor in, and 25 of you are also investors in. Great solid stock in the healing space, but also another reason you want this name is it has let's round up, 7% dividend. So this is one of the only times you're going to hear the Whiz fighter say, buy some shares. Why? You can do a covered call. You can do a covered call. If you own the shares, you sell an upside call against it. And as a shareholder, you can get that dividend. You can make a nice 3 to 5% a month just in Sabra. with the stock going up, selling some calls, or you could do the wheel with cash secured puts, right? I don't want to give too much away, but that's what I would do. The other name in this space that I would look at is AHR, American Healthcare REIT. This is what I pray happens to what Daniel and I, Cody, Joe, Healing Realty Trust. This stock is doing what we're doing in HRT, but went public a year ago. Look at that return in a year. 166% the stock has gone up since it went public last February. Holy crap. Okay. So I like both of these names. And yes, this has a dividend too. Not as big as Sabra right now, but hey, 3% ain't nothing to sneeze at. Somebody yesterday was like, why would I do synthetic stock on JP Morgan when there's a nice dividend? I think it was like 2%. I can find that in my couch. Do synthetic stock like I showed you on JP Morgan. But these names have explosive potential since they're in this Make America Healthy space again. The other thing that happened when I was in DC 2 weeks ago, meeting with the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, meeting with Congressman Bergman Correa, was the Surgeon General appointment. Did you see the lady that was appointed to be the Surgeon General? Psilocybin helped me. It helped me find love, but it also helped me when I was in a dark place. The Surgeon effing General of the United States. Now I saw the AP and some other pharma supported people like surgeon, Donald Trump could cure cancer and people would be frothing at the mouth that he's putting oncologists out of work, right? So they couldn't even give him a victory on that. Like Trump's Surgeon General nominee touts untested psychedelics treatment. Oh my God, untested? It's been tested for thousands and thousands of years. So the fact that we have the potential Surgeon General, we have the FDA commissioner, we have the vice president. Hell, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, there's no way in hell I ever thought I'd hear a president talk about veteran suicide, let alone the Secretary of Veterans Affairs response include the words psychedelics. So, Jason, let's go. Yeah, we can take a look at Sabra. Why is there there's little premium? First of all, they don't have weekly options, right? But why is there, you have to sell an at the money call, right? Or in this case, I would sell, well, this is literally at the money. Sabra's at 17 and a half, sell the 17 and a half, right? Okay. Why is there little premium right now? Go look at the chart. Let's go to something like this. Because it's in a range right now, right? The options premiums come in. The options market's not going to pay you a high premium to, oh, look at you, so brilliant, selling an at the money call. The thing ain't really moving. It's in a range between 18.23 and 17. So you'd have to sell, and I do this often with names like this, selling literally at the money put, right? If you own 1,000 shares, you can sell 10 of, 4 weeks from now, 17 and a half call, and you bring in $450. Or you sell the cash secured put right now, right? So that's what we call the wheel tactic. But it's a good question, ladies and gentlemen. Stocks don't stay in a range forever, right? I mean, look at this. It does have movement, right? It hasn't had a lot of movement lately. Since we said to get into it, or I said to get into it, let me move this line. Where is it? Oh. No. Trying to grab that dot right there. Whatever. Delete drawing. I remember, where was it? Hold on. Let me do this. It was right around there. There we go. Thank you. Stop. Okay, man. Jesus. What is that? 54%. Finally, thank you. I could have done the mental math. The stock is up 54% since I told you to buy it when Cody told me to buy it. I'm like, hey, man, people are asking since they didn't get it, invest in the REIT. Is there a good public substitute? He said Sabra. And then he said AHR, right? So what I'm getting at is we will have movement again. When, not if, some of these medicines start coming online to be legal, what's going to happen? You're not doing MDMA therapy at your doctor's office. It's going to be at a clinic. Somebody asked that in the HR or the questions with Daniel. I don't know if he covered it or not. The answer is absolutely yes. Experience Onward would be the type of business that the REIT would probably scoop up. Can't do it right now, technically, because even though it's legal at the state levels, Colorado, New Mexico, Oregon, other states coming online, most of the listen to me, this is an important thing to talk about. Like Piper Sandler that invested 50 million into the REIT. Technically, everything's a Schedule 1 right now. So just buy existing medical complexes that are making money and let's just hang waiting for the feds to approve this stuff. That will be the day, ladies and gentlemen, when Donald Trump finally gets around to it. I mean, he's got like a printer next to his desk signing executive orders. Reschedule, Mr. President, these medicines from 1. I'm not saying legal like weed or anything. I'm saying Schedule 3. Schedule 3 is what? Ketamine. It's legal. Doctor with a pen and a prescription. When, not if. I mean, RFK, man, I still have the screenshot of his tweet when he was running for president. Ibogaine being a Schedule 1 is absurd. He used the word absurd. And he said, what? I'll reschedule it if I'm elected president. Well, he didn't get elected president, but can you talk to Donald and get this thing rescheduled? So when that happens, not if, these names, Sabra ain't going to be in a nice little channel. Stocks don't stay in a channel forever, man. These things will rip. AHR, Sabra, and then real quick, I'm only going to go another 9 more minutes here. MindMed, buy it with both hands. Atai, buy it with both hands. So for all the new folks, I'm ripping through the publicly traded psychedelic names I would buy with both hands. Cybin, very good news lately out of Cybin. I love Cybin right now. Or, my SOP, ladies and gentlemen, is I don't trade options on stocks under $10. Why? I buy the stock. That's the option. It's the premium. $7.50. That would be like, a call option. But if you're super cheap, yeah, go out to November of 2025 and buy some, super out of the money call options. These are lottery tickets, man. Go buy them because this will happen. You will wake up one day in your bunny slippers and your robe, drinking your coffee like Tony Soprano and see breaking news. Cybin has released whatever. The stock is up a quadrillion %. Or breaking news. MindMed has been acquired in an all-cash deal from Pfizer for fill in the gap. And you will be dancing in front of the TV. Barry, Sill. Sill is the basket of these names. Since they rebalanced Sill, I like it even more, right? So folks, Barry asked a good question. This is an ETF. Whiz, I don't want to pick individual publicly traded psychedelic names. Don't. Sill is an ETF. You get a basket of psychedelic stocks. Let's go. Don't listen to me. Let's go look. The holdings in this ETF include, for the names I just told you about, MindMed, Atai, NRX Pharmaceuticals, Compass, Cybin, Sage. All of these names, folks, this is a good basket of psychedelic stocks. Don't pick winners, folks. Let somebody else do it. Get your basket of names there. Okay, so buying this ETF isn't a bad idea. I love it. Looking at my mastermind group, fade this pop. One of my buddies just said, well, I did because did everybody get out of your bull put spread? Look at that profit, folks. In at $1.30 at 52 and out at 11.11. Thank you, God. 11.11. Out. You're welcome for that. What's that? An 80-cent profit? Paying for your service live. I did it yesterday and I did it Monday. Gene, Whiz, did you say to buy or sell out of the money call on? No, to buy, Gene. So go, let's pull up Sybin. I would go as far out into the future as I can. Nove 25 and buy like the 15 strike calls, man. These would be lottery tickets. Absolutely. That's exactly right, Paul. It's a tough question to answer. Why? Because I'm torn. I want a pharmaceutical company. You heard Dr. Mash say this. It's in her slide deck. Who the potential people that are most likely going to reach out and buy her? Me, you, if you got into it and invested. Gilgamesh. What were the other ones? I forget what else she said. Yeah, right there. So Alchemist, Pfizer, J&J. I mean, Gilgamesh is, yeah. So I don't want this to happen, folks. Well, no, that's why I said I'm torn. I do want this to happen. I want my investments to explode disgustingly. But then I don't want it to happen, right? Kind of like with the REIT. Because then you lose control, right? Because they could do that, Paul. You're absolutely right. If you're J&J and you need customers the rest of your life, you're going to buy something like this and put it on the shelf. But Paul, let me channel on my 4-year anniversary of being reborn. Let me channel. It's too late, Paul. The ship's already sailed. After the COVID pandemic, people are wise. People get it. We're not gonna fall for their bullshit again. Well, if you get the vaccine, you can't get sick. Lie. Well, if you get it, you can't spread it to others. Lie. Do you remember Joe Biden, that angry old man yelling at us like, you're in for the winter of darkness, whatever he called it, the winter of death, all you unvaccinated people. Fuck you. So Big Pharma's name is in the dirt. If they start buying these type of things and shoving them, remember, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I believe, and I know healing's free, technically. God put all these medicines on these planets for us to heal, on this planet for us to heal for free. Iboga's free in Gabon, Africa. Psilocybin's free in your yard. 5-MeO DMT is free in the Arizona, New Mexico, and northern Mexico. Mescaline or peyote, San Pedro. All this stuff exists. So I will be the first one to call out Big Pharma and anybody who buys this stuff and shelves it. It's a threat, man, but it's too late. All this psychedelic, folks, has entered the zeitgeist. You got Navy SEALs, you got Navy fighter pilots, you have veterans, you have first responders, you have Stanley Cup champions. You're going to be blown away at the NFL and the boxers. Folks, invest in with Daniel, and you're going to be privy to all the good things that are about to come, man. With who's going to be in this study, and this will be national. It'll be international news. Long answer, short question, Paul. I think times are different. COVID people like, well, I have to believe the government, and Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer wouldn't lie to us about this gene altering juice, would they? Of course they would. So awesome. Sorry, guys, I went an hour and a half, but I had to open with my anniversary, man. A lot of you who have been here for a while have seen my 4 years, and thank you for sticking around and putting up with me through it. But at this point, I'm putting the ladder down. I'm putting the ladder down, helping veterans, first responders, and family members heal. But I'm also, Ishmael, well, you're not here anymore. I'm also putting the ladder down for you to potentially make money. Of course, I want to make money, but I'm also helping people, dude. So if you just want to focus on profit, hopefully you're watching this replay, dude. I have zero time for people like you. And I still love you. I love you. You have a perfect soul, but work on the shell, buddy. Okay. I'm telling you, Rick. Well, a lot of you remember Doc. What's his name? He's a TGO member. He's a lifetime member. Got his head. I did coaching with him for a year. He's national news. I think the DOJ is going to finally drop the case. He's a doctor out in Utah who was spraying the vax into the trash and giving people cards. Well, that's fraud. He took money. No, he didn't. He's smart. He told those people they had to make a donation to a nonprofit. He saved lives. And I think Pam Bondi's going to dismiss those charges finally. He's the Biden DOJ put Doc through the fucking ringer. Like they were going to send him to jail. But Dr. Moore, Jesus God, Kirk Moore, fellow TGO member who went. We have a great squadron, man. I love right here. Dr. Kirk Moore, charged with running whatever COVID vaccine scheme to defraud the government and the CDC. He disposed of the vaccines and gave people cards with, saline or whatever and told them to donate. He destroyed $28,000 worth of government property. This is the buy. Look, they haven't updated this, right? This was the initial thing. I got a text from Doc a while ago because a lot of us donated to his defense fund. And I think they're going to there it is. Stand for more. This guy did no harm. Isn't this awesome? He looked at the scientific evidence and said, you know what? It's bullshit. You're hurt. This is going to hurt people. Let me give you, if you're interested, I think he probably still needs money for his defense, but I had heard that, new sheriff in town with the COVID bullshit. It was started in a lab. If you listen to me in January of 2020, I made millionaires. I made 2.5 million in 2.5 weeks, almost the same amount of time. Let's just say 3 weeks. We turned little old ladies in tennis shoes at Top Gun Options into millionaires because I told you the truth. I lost Facebook accounts. I got shadow banned on YouTube. I lost Twitter accounts. I was right. They were wrong and they were liars. Let's end on a high note. I'm done, folks. No brief tomorrow. No free brief. If you're a free person, you're welcome for being free. I'm going to put the replay on this page. It's time for you to join. We're not doing any more of these full throttles, man. I made the mistake this week. This wasn't supposed to be a free week, but since people had already emailed for us and people were registered, I'm like, I'll go ahead and do it. So you're welcome, free people. Replay will be posted on that page. Get airborne. Well, Whiz, if you're not doing a free brief tomorrow, what should I do? You should start watching your Options Weapons School training. I saw a couple of people yesterday just buy Options Weapons School training. That's awesome. I don't mention that because it's included with a bunch of other stuff. But if you just want to learn how to trade options and get access to 7 sessions, and Options Weapons School session number 7 is money. Why? Because I just used it this morning to shoot that sniper that made 60% or $1,100 in, what was that? 23 minutes. You're welcome. So that is Options Weapons School session 7. Okay. And look, you know what? Look at in this portfolio, ladies and gentlemen, $47,000 month to date shooting S&P trades. I know what I'm doing. That is 3 lifetime memberships right there, ladies and gentlemen, in a month. Annualize that return. That's over that's $750,000 potentially this year in just an S&P 500 trades. Got a little Amazon, Raytheon, JP Morgan, SIBO, and VIX. Okay. So join. Day 2 does not appear to be on the replay page. It's just you got to scroll down. It says day 1 replay right there. We need to do a better job of like showing it maybe as a video. But day 2 is going to be right next to it. So day 1 replay will be here. Day 2 is going to be here. Okay. And day 3 right now is going to be in the box. Okay. So that's, you know what, that kind of does blend in. It's kind of camouflaged. So day 1 replay right there. Day 2's in the box for now. Day 3 is going to be in there right now in about 20 minutes. And day 2, you see it, the buttons down there? Any questions with that? I'll make that look better for next time. All right, now I literally am closing the doors. Ain't no more Full Throttle, ain't no more solo Amazon. I got shit to do. I love my current members. We have 600. How many? 601. There's 601 members here. There's about 220 in the lifetime, and there's in the hunters. Don't forget, folks, if you join solo Amazon, you don't get access to the hunters. If you do the monthly hunters, you don't get access over here either. You have got to do that middle right here underneath Full Throttle. Let me scroll down real quick. Everybody else can leave, but if you have no idea what I'm talking about, hang out for a second. Either the monthly hunters at $497 a month, or the annual membership is a 50% discount. I would start right here immediately. Or if you think I'm a complete idiot and you want to give me a couple months to prove it, you do that one. The $295 a month, you do not get access to that Hunters Investment Club. That's your trial, man. That's your tire kicking. I want to try out for a couple months. That's the $295, but you do not get any of this stuff over here. $295 a month, you ain't paying for it, so you're not getting it. If you want everything, it's either that for a couple months to upgrade over to here, or you start here today. Okay. Any other questions, concerns, smart remarks you can keep to yourself, but I'll give you this link. You can always shoot me an email, Whiz, W-H-I-Z, at Top Gun Options, and I'll answer your question. Shoot me an email if you didn't write down Daniel's contact info, and I'll send it to you. He's got a tight window. I don't know if you said Friday or not. When I left yoga and talked to him on the phone this morning, this is tight. That big investor coming in, looking at the Colorado places that's why he's like, this is it. This is the last of the small folks, 25 small. And then it's institutional and this and that. And don't be like the REIT folks and some of the Demrex folks right now. Like, man, I'm kicking myself. So reach out to Daniel directly, or if you didn't write his stuff down, just reach out to me and I'll hook you up on an email with Daniel. But act very quickly if you want to join New Path and experience onward. Maybe you can join me out at a retreat. Maybe you can come out and, unless you're sitting with the medicine in the state of Oregon laws, you can't be in there when they're doing the medicine. So Daniel and I went for a hike around Mount Hood or whatever it was for the day when they were sitting with the medicine. Next time I might get a tune-up just so I can be in there with, so I can be legal to sit in the room with everybody. Because that was my first retreat I went on when I'm like not holding space and helping people. It was a little weird. So, all right, guys, I got to go. Sorry this went so long, but good shit. Good stuff going on. Any other stuff, just hit me up when you get a chance. Love you too, John. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Fifes on. Namaste and Basi Basi. Whiz out. We'll see you next time.